Hey, so quick question. When's the last time you held something in your hands and thought, this is going to matter long after I'm gone? That's kind of the feeling we're talking about today. Welcome back to the Land Buyer's Guide. I'm your host, Scott Thomas, founder of landparker.com, where we help everyday people get access to affordable, rural land, often with owner financing, sometimes as low as $100 down and $100 a month. Today, we're getting into something I genuinely love talking about, and that's why rural land is such a powerful long-term investment. Not just for your bank account, but for your family, your future, and honestly, your peace of mind. Let's get into it. So first, let's just talk about what makes land different from most other things you can invest your money in. Stocks, crypto, bonds, all of those exist kind of in theory, right? They're numbers on a screen. And they can disappear. We've all seen it happen. Land doesn't do that. It's still sitting there, whether the market crashes or the internet goes down. It's real. You can stand on it. You can walk your kids across it. That's not nothing. And here's a basic truth that a lot of people kind of forget. They're not making more land. The planet has a fixed amount of it. And as populations grow and cities keep spreading out, rural land, especially parcels with water, trees, or good soil, tends to hold its value pretty well over time. Sometimes it goes up significantly, especially in areas where people are migrating away from cities. That trend has been pretty strong over the last several years. Now, the term legacy investment gets thrown around sometimes, but I actually think it fits here. A legacy investment isn't just about returns. It's about value that stretches beyond you. And rural land does that in a few really meaningful ways. For one, it's something you can pass down. Land is actually one of the cleaner assets to leave to your children or grandchildren. With even basic estate planning, it transfers well. It can become the foundation of what a family builds over generations. You see this in a lot of older families. They've held land for decades, and it's just part of who they are as a family. It also tends to appreciate. Not always fast, not always dramatic, but historically rural land has shown steady appreciation, especially when demand for recreational use, farming, or just getting away from it all starts to grow in a region. And here's what a lot of people don't realize. Land can actually generate income while you hold it. You can lease it for farming or grazing. You can let someone hunt on it seasonally. There are even opportunities for timber or energy leases in some cases, so it's not just sitting there doing nothing. It can be working for you. Beyond the financial piece, there's something that's harder to put a number on. Land gives people a sense of security, a rootedness. For a lot of families, a piece of rural property becomes the gathering place where you celebrate holidays, where the kids run around, where traditions actually get started. That matters. That's real wealth in a way that no investment statement can fully capture. Okay, so let's say you're new to this and you're thinking about buying rural land for the first time. What should you actually be thinking about? Water is probably the first thing worth looking into early. Water access and water rights vary a lot depending on where you're looking. Some parcels have a well, some have access to surface water, some are connected to a rural water district. It's worth understanding what you're working with before you get too attached to a specific property. Road access is another one. Some rural parcels are landlocked or only accessible through a private road or an easement across someone else's property. You want to know how you're going to get there legally before you commit to anything. Zoning is worth a look too. Rural doesn't automatically mean you can do whatever you want with the land. Local zoning rules vary quite a bit. If you're planning to build, farm, or run some kind of operation from the property, it's good to confirm that's allowed in that county before you buy. Soil quality. If farming or growing food is part of why you're buying, a soil test is a pretty inexpensive way to learn a lot about what that land can actually produce. Small upfront cost potentially saves you a real headache down the road. Surveys are worth mentioning too. Boundary disputes do come up in rural areas more than people expect. If a current survey isn't available for a parcel you're seriously considering, it might be worth getting one done. It just gives you a clear picture of exactly what you're buying. And working with someone who specializes in land, not just any real estate agent, can be genuinely helpful. Land has its own set of considerations: timber value, mineral rights, agricultural potential. These are things a land-focused professional will catch that a general agent might not even think to ask about. Now, if your vision is more off-grid or homestead-focused, there are a few extra things worth thinking through. Solar and wind potential matters if you're planning to generate your own power. Look for open terrain with good sun exposure. South facing is generally ideal. And think about the prevailing wind patterns if a wind turbine might be in your future. If you're going to build, you'll likely need a septic system. A perk test, short for percolation test, tells you whether the soil can actually support one. It's worth knowing that before you make a final decision. And think honestly about how remote you actually want to be. The idea of being completely off the grid is appealing, and for some people, it works beautifully. But for most people, long term, there's a sweet spot. Enough seclusion to feel free, but not so far out that getting groceries or seeing a doctor becomes a whole production. It's worth thinking through before you fall in love with something that's 3 hours from the nearest town. Also worth checking: if you're thinking about a tiny home, an earthship, a yurt, or anything non-traditional, look into local building codes for that county. Some rural areas are really flexible about that stuff. Others have pretty specific requirements. It varies a lot. Okay, stepping back and looking at the bigger financial picture for a second, land doesn't have to be an all or nothing move. A lot of people start small, 5 acres, 10 acres, something manageable. And then they build from there as their goals and budget evolve. Others buy a parcel specifically as a long-term hold, with plans to develop or sell it years down the road. Both approaches can work. The thing is, land typically isn't a liquid asset. You can't cash it out in an afternoon the way you can sell a stock. So it tends to work best as part of a broader financial picture, not as your only asset. But the holding costs, property taxes, basic upkeep, are usually pretty low on rural land. That makes it a manageable thing to sit on for a long time without it eating you alive financially. Some buyers even go in with a partner or family member to split the cost while still building real ownership equity. It's a solid way to get into land if the price of going solo feels like a stretch. Here's the bottom line: rural land brings together financial stability, the potential for generational value, and a kind of personal freedom that most investments just can't offer. Whether you're thinking about a homestead, a family retreat, a long-term hold, or just a place that's yours, a well-chosen piece of rural land can serve you and the people who come after you for a very long time. The key is doing your homework, asking the right questions, and finding land that fits both where you want to go in life and what makes sense financially. When those things line up, it's not just an investment. It really is a legacy. All right, that's a wrap for today. If any of this resonated with you and you want to take a look at what's available, head over to landparker.com. We've got discounted rural properties across the country, and most of them come with affordable owner financing. We're talking as low as $100 down and $100 a month. No bank required. Just come, take a look, see what's out there, and if you got questions, we're always happy to talk. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.